Hi, my name is Steve from Hashtag Sports, and welcome to Hashtag Sports Conf, a first-of-its-kind virtual conference featuring over 60 leaders in sports, social, and tech from around the world. Today we'll have representatives from some of the leading sports teams, brands, leagues, startups, and agencies participating in a series of live interactive Google Plus Hangouts, exploring how social media and technology are disrupting the sports industry. If you go to the schedule page, you'll see a listing of all of our agenda for the entire day. As you can see, it's a jam-packed agenda, and there'll be some sessions that are going on at the same time. All of this will be saved on YouTube, but we really invite you to participate in the real-time conversation because you are as much a part of this event as the speakers are. So if you also haven't registered, make sure to click sign in the header of the website, hashtagsportsconf.com, or register with Google Plus on the homepage. That will give you access to the Hashtag Sports Google Plus community, where you can network with other professionals from around the world and also participate in additional speaker Q&A opportunities. If you notice, each Hangout will also have its own hashtag in addition to the overall conference hashtag, which gives you even more reason to engage in conversations surrounding the individual panels. Thanks to our friends at Tagboard for helping guide the social conversation. At this time, I'm going to hand it over to Tagboard CEO Josh Decker and some of his clients to explore how they're using the platform to engage fans on game day. We've got Kurt Svoboda from Palo Alto and Stanford. We've got Kenton Olson from Seattle with the Seattle Seahawks and the Sounders. And we've got Daniel Olson all the way from Everton FC in Liverpool. Josh?
What I was saying when you couldn't hear me was that when I first heard about the sports conference, got really excited about it. The premise of the idea of bringing over the thought leaders from the market and all across different sports and different spectrums obviously is an amazing thing to do. Here at Tagboard, we're really excited to be involved. A little bit of background about Tagboard. We're a 2-year-old startup from just outside of Seattle, Washington. And we thought about this crazy idea that the hashtag could be a unification tool to help build communities and create stronger conversations online. And we didn't ever plan to be a sports business or really even be in the sports business. I mean, obviously, as a crazy Seattle sports fan, I have a lot of excitement around what's going on here in Seattle. But what happened was actually one of our first, the very first external business or group that found Tagboard and started using it was the University of Washington, just on the other side of the freeway. And what was really cool about that was it was organic, and they found us and they started using Tagboard. And what Tagboard does is we aggregate real-time conversation using the hashtag, and we pull in the content from all the major social networks like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Vine, and of course Google Plus, as we're using here today. And what we started doing is really focusing on a web-based experience that would allow people to really have a dynamic way of breaking down the walls between the different social networks, bringing everybody in together, and really getting a more in-depth experience than you would get on either of the social networks by themselves. Because really what community is about is breaking down barriers and lowering the barrier to entry. And by opening up the conversation to all the different social networks, people could use whatever network they want or whatever app they have on their phone that they prefer to join in that conversation. So that was kind of step one, was to build this really cool network of data and connected conversation that people could come to Tagboard and search, interact, connect. They could actually favorite and retweet and reply right from the page. And the next step for us was to start seeing that displayed in public settings. And that was actually something where one of our clients, a car company called Audi, which I'm sure most of you have heard of, came to us with this crazy idea and said, hey, we love what you've done on the web for us, but we would really like to see that up and displayed in our booth at the auto shows. So that was about fall of 2012. We built a custom app for them. We were really excited about the engagement, the social engagement they had, and the mentions of their hashtag was more than all the other auto manufacturers at those shows combined, because they were the only ones engaging with their fans in real time using technology, social media, and hashtags. That was pretty cool. So then the next step beyond that was that the different college teams and professional teams that we had started to talk with obviously wanted to see if we could figure out a way to integrate that design into stadium settings and affect engagement on game day. That's where we are today, is that I've invited my friends from the different teams, obviously Everton FC, Seahawks and Sounders, and Stanford, to join us and talk about how they've used Tagboard, the hashtag, and in-stadium experience to really affect a positive way game day presentation and game day engagement with their fans. Again, the premise of everything that we've done here is about community, and I think that's one of the things that separates us and separates these teams from others, is that we are focused truly on community, pulling people together, and so that's what we'll talk a bit about today. So thank you all for joining, and we appreciate the opportunity to share our time with you and share our thoughts. So I'm gonna first I'm gonna start with Kurt. Kurt, are you there? You got it? Are you up online?
Yes, I am. Gotcha.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So Kurt, why don't you talk us through a little bit about how long you've been at Stanford. I know you came over from a different school recently, but you've done an amazing job this year taking Stanford to a new level, and obviously the football team is great and a lot of success this year. I had the great privilege and honor of being down there for several games, and it's quite an environment you guys have down there at Stanford, and you have a loyal audience, a lot of fans, and tell us a bit how you guys used Tagboard this year, and how maybe what you guys did last year, and how things were increased this year.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and also appreciated being able to take in a game at the Clink with you this year. So that's obviously a great place, and love to see what you guys have going on. I think you really touched on a lot of the aspects that I think about. So I've been at Stanford now for about 11 months, arrived right before spring football season last year, and then just kind of rode it through this past weekend, where we had our last event of the year at the Walter Camp All-America Weekend, which was in New Haven, Connecticut. And we've really focused our Tagboard efforts on our community and tying in all these different conversations. I mean, you said it, people use so many different apps, throughout all the spaces, and whether you're talking about, Twitter, Facebook, Google+, Vine, Instagram, what have you, the unifying aspect of all that, are these hashtags, and it provides such a tremendous opportunity to all the schools and the teams and the different brands that use these products. We're able to build these conversations around one central tag board, and then farm out from there if we want. So one of the first thoughts that I had was my arrival here coincided with a pretty massive website redesign. Pac-12 schools redesigned their sites at the same time, and tried to differentiate the thinking that surrounded our website. Most college athletic websites, they have your standard links to social media sites, which is great, and they link out to directly to the Facebook, to a Twitter, to a Google+. And one of my first thoughts was around just having a single hub where we could bring that all. So we, rather than linking out directly to all these, we went to you guys, and you built a phenomenal tag board for us. So now, users to gostanford.com are able to just click on hashtag GoStanford, which is our predominant hashtag, and just join all the conversation right there. We're able to keep you on our website, keep you engaged, which is really important to us. And outside of that, you touched upon it as well, the in-venue experience. We are, at Stanford, we're trying very hard to, as most programs are, to increase the experience that fans have at our venue. Games are so good on television. It's so easy to just sit back on your couch and watch a game. So we have to differentiate somehow and provide an experience in the venue. And I think a big part of that is this community aspect, especially at the collegiate level, and being able to bring in Tagboard has been great this year. We brought in 2 brand new HD video boards, and as well as a 360-degree ribbon board in the stadium. We're actually the first college venue to have a 360 ribbon board in the stadium. And so all that, as things do, get put together at the 11th hour, and Tagboard was really phenomenal in being able to integrate the Tagboard and different hashtags in Stanford Stadium. And what's unique is that as a lot of teams have multiple hashtags that they're looking to aggregate, and Tagboard didn't blink in being able to provide this experience for us. We have, Go Stanford, Fear the Tree, Nerd Nation. These are all extremely popular hashtags with us, as well as some game specific. I know, Washington State being able to use the Apple Cup for theirs, as opposed to maybe what a standard ESPN link of UW versus WSU, things like that will resonate quickly with the fan base. And so Tagboard's ability to integrate those apps and the flexibility has really been key for us for that community feel.
That's great. Tell us a little bit about the different screens. Obviously, when we first started talking, you guys had some really low resolution screens, and we came out for your spring game, and we were really excited, but they were like 700 pixels, and it left a lot to be desired. And then you guys hinted at the fact that you were looking at trying to get some new screens in there. And talk a little bit about that. And the new screens that you guys have are huge, and they're beautiful. And was wondering if you could just talk a little bit about the upgrades you've made, and then obviously the 360-degree ribbon board that you guys had Daktronics install, and just how that went about, and how you've used Tagboard on the different screens.
Yeah, you guys really hid your disappointment well when you were out here in the spring and you saw the resolution of our boards. But I think it's one of those things that had been in discussion for a long time, and you start getting to the determination that those boards greatly impact the game day atmosphere and the environment and the energy level. And honestly, thinking about the Tagboard was a big reason to kind of make that final push to replace our boards. We're able to talk at an administrative level about the opportunity that we have to engage people, to select content that they're putting out there, and really drive home the point that this is Nerd Nation, that it's the players on the field, but it's you in the stands. And there's just something special when people take a Vine, or an Instagram, and they push it out there, and they push that hashtag on there, and then they see themselves on the board, and being able to see that element in game has really been wonderful, and it really pushed us not only to get the boards, but to truly do the boards correctly. 2 massive HD boards on both ends, above both end zones, and then as well as the ribbon board, because obviously cost is a factor for all of these schools, but and just any teams and leagues in general. But one of those things where if we're going to make that investment, we were going to try to do it right, and the Tagboard, I really can't understate it, how important it was to us.
Do you see what kind of spike do you see in engagement when you guys put the screens up?
Oh, it's massive. The moments after those screens get up, you just get a flurry coming in there. So we have one person who's aggregating that in game. They actually sit a couple seats down from me in the press box, and we usually share some pretty good laughs over the things that are coming in there. And it's real. I mean, that spike after we go to the boards comes in pretty heavily.
Do you guys ever have opposing fans trying to troll the boards?
Absolutely, and that's the beauty of sports. That's the beauty of real time, engagement, and that's all well and good. And that's obviously one of the great benefits of Tagboard is we can have the featured page where we're choosing to direct things. But as the good and bad, I mean, as long as it doesn't have too much bad stuff in there, is that you're able to find pretty much anything that you want going on that page. But we really like to do a cross section of content on there, and honestly, if somebody has something funny from another team, we'll put it on there as well. I think it speaks to the level of conversation. Just because we don't agree with something, we're not opposed to putting it up there.
Well, I think it's pretty interesting too, how you guys have done two things. You use the video boards to really showcase the videos from Instagram and Vine, as well as obviously photos from any of the platforms. But you use the ribbon board to really engage in more of a linear conversation that goes throughout the entire game, and throughout the entire, from gates opening to gates closing, there's Twitter content on that ribbon board the entire time. So talk a little bit about the difference between the two and how it's obviously a different type of conversation going on. And what I saw really cool happen this year, because I went to several games, was beginning of the year it was like, oh my God, that's so cool, I want to get on the board, or I want to get on the ribbon board. And then it started shifting to actually people saying more things about the game and really giving some good content. And talk a little bit about that if you could.
Yeah. So I think the two main points that are important are the flexibility of the platform, and then really the education for the fans of the platform. So what's great is on game day, our Tagboard really shifts to a visual content aggregator for our giant video boards using the Go Stanford hashtag. And so basically videos and images are pushed there, and we have numerous times throughout the game that they're featured on the board. But then during the game, the entire game on the ribbon board this year was Fear the Tree, which is something that we used, which aggregated the content around the video board. And it really was this education at the beginning of the year that, hey, there's this content here, and we're going, if you deliver it to us, we're going to deliver it to you. And that took a little while for fans to be to understand what we were trying to get out of them. But really, within 2 games, that content was coming, and they could see that. I mean, you're talking about almost real-time content being pushed to that board, and this idea that the crowd can impact a game. You know, if you have a big third down coming up, and everybody, putting up something and saying, you're not going to get this, something a little more creative than that, using the hashtag, that it was going to be up there, and hey, maybe as a fan I get to impact the game. Kind of underscoring all of this stuff is really the idea that these platforms can be great. The delivery of them, obviously, it's like that gorilla in the corner of the room is the stadium infrastructure. Because being able to deliver the Wi-Fi connection to the majority of the fans is something that every big venue struggles with. We're no exception to that, but we think that we have a pretty good beat on it, because at the end of the day, all of this stuff, what people want is to be able to use their mobile devices in venue as they do in their normal life. I mean, they're used to logging on and being able to do whatever they want whenever they want, and that's a massive obstacle for a lot of venues. But we actually think that we have a pretty good beat on that here at Stanford, and it's something that we're going to continue to invest in to make sure that we can deliver this great content that you guys have.
Well, it's been really fun this season, and obviously. Being able to travel down there, you're only a 2-hour flight away, so I was able to get down there for several games. But really cool stuff that you guys have done, and I think you guys have pushed the envelope and really opened that experience up to not only the fans in the stadium, but one of the things that was really cool was to see people who couldn't make it to the game, or they live on the other side of the country or world even, being able to join in that conversation using this technology. So pretty fun stuff.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think on game day we only have 4 main rotators on our website, but on game day we dedicate one of those to Tagboard, and it is this idea that, hey, if you can't join us in the stadium, you can still be part of our community, because let's face it, Stanford is a global brand, and we've got fans all over the place. So that top-level rotator takes them right to our Tagboard, and they're able to see this thing updating constantly. It's great.
Yeah, and you guys had a big game down in Pasadena a few weeks ago, right?
We did have a big game in Pasadena. The outcome didn't go our way, but it was a phenomenal atmosphere. And again, we think very highly of Tagboard and this idea of community. We had a massive pep rally at Santa Monica Pier. on December 30th, a couple days before the game, and part of that was we brought in giant video boards, and you guys were good enough to create a custom program for us to again kind of bring in our community, and we had one screen going the entire time of the pep rally.
Great, it's awesome. Well, I'm going to switch over now to talk to Kenton down the street here in Renton, Washington. And Kurt, we thank you for your time. Once I get some focus time, I'm going to go out and tweet a couple pictures later on to the same hashtag, because I did get some cool shots of what you guys have done in the stadium. And so I'll go ahead after the session's over. I'll find those pictures and I'll tweet them out using the hashtags, of course. So
all right, that'd be great.
People can check the Tagboard out later, and they'll be able to see those shots. But again, thanks for everything you guys have done this year with us. It's been a lot of fun, and it's really fun to kind of share the story with everybody.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
Great. All right. Hey, Kenton, are you there?
I sure am.
Okay. Great. Well, I will start out by saying that I'm an unapologetic Seattle sports fan. I bleed blue and green, and I am a big Seahawks fan. I have been since I was a little 1 or 2 year old boy. My dad raised me right. So it's, for me, honestly, one of the biggest things for me with Tagboard and the success that we've had is to be able to work with some of the brands and teams that I've been so passionate about most of my life. And so when we had the opportunity to talk to the Sounders and the Seahawks, which are owned by the same company, obviously, and they are they're very progressive. They've always been doing some cool stuff. And when we were able to kind of pitch them on what we were doing with Tagboard, it was really fun to see their excitement, because they obviously understand how engaged the community is. And even though we're not in the top 5 market, I believe that the Sounders and Seahawks are both well within the top 5 within the leagues that they are in their engagement levels. And this year has been great to see both the Sounders and Seahawks use Tagboard, both online and in stadium. And I'd like to have Kenton just introduce himself and talk a little bit about how they've been using Tagboard and hashtags in general, and really what this year's been like for them.
Yeah, to begin with, if you don't believe Josh's fandom, he has an amazing Steve Largent autograph old school Seahawks jacket. So he's very proud.
I don't have it here, unfortunately. I keep it in the safe.
Okay.
When it's not game day.
Very cool. Well, yeah. So so I'm Kenton Olson. I'm the director of digital emerging media for both the Seahawks and Sounders FC. And as Josh had mentioned, our relationship with Tagboard started just about maybe just a little over a year or so ago now. And specifically at the time, we were looking for a solution. In the past, we've had a website called Spirit12, which was kind of a site that was built around a forum and kind of collect a lot of fan photos, fan videos, etc. And looking at it, there were certainly areas for improvement there. And looking at it, one area of the site did not particularly perform well was in how it interacted in the social media space. So we specifically, after we had kind of seen Tagboard, thought, well, this would be fantastic. We get so many, pictures from fans saying, here's my Seahawks tattoo, or here's how I painted my car, or all kinds of various deals. Let's, rather than making someone create an account, upload the actual picture to our website, let's just curate all that content on our website. So have a destination for our website, and just have a place where people can go and get all that content. So that was kind of really the genesis of kind of why we started from them. And I probably can't even count the amount of Tagboards we've created these days, but we have quite a few now, and we've expanded from using them from kind of long-term hashtags such as Seahawks tattoos and Spirit12 and Pound Seahawks to more campaign focused. So some of our more exciting ones that we've done this year are, obviously, as most sports fans are aware, we had the luck of signing Clint Dempsey this year, one of the great American-born soccer players of all time. And when he kind of came to our organization, there was a lot of social media buzz around, Dempsey Watch, and making sure, people were looking for him in the city, and basically people were looking over every corner trying to find him to see if they can confirm Dempsey was actually in the city. So sure enough, we announced Dempsey's actually unveiling a couple days later, and we actually set up our own Tagboard for what we call Dempsey Found. And basically, it was a way for fans to say, hey, Dempsey's found, share all your pictures from the game around the world of just your excitement for Clint Dempsey actually coming to the Sounders organization. So that was a cool way we had done it for around a particular campaign or event. Two other ones we have done fairly well were Hawkitecture. That's one that we started here for the playoffs. So if you've followed the Seahawks playoff run much at all, we have such a passionate fan base, and they do all kinds of amazing things. And specifically one that we challenged our fans with and kind of wanted to aggregate was people changing large-scale buildings. So we're talking cranes that lit up their entire cranes blue with 12 flags on them. We're talking, the one that kind of ended up winning the prize was an entire office building that basically turned off all their lights and had a huge 12 and literally changed the skyline of Seattle for a night. So we were able to aggregate all that content on a single tag board. Outside of kind of, those type of pieces on our site, which is the majority of the way we've used Tagboard, we also kind of see it playing two uses in stadium, and we're still kind of working through a permanent home for it in venue, but we did use it during the Sounders kind of playoff run last year. One, as Kevin had mentioned, it's a great way to engage fans actually in the stadium, to give them a common rally cry, give them a place to kind of upload all of their photos to and say, hey, here's a specific hashtag, tweet your photos, be able to kind of interact with people and give them a really special experience if their photo comes up on the board. The second piece is, we also see it as a way to connect with our fans outside the stadium. So, our stadium will hold approximately 68,000 people, and I'm sure if we could put, 200,000 people in there for various games, we could get 200,000 people in there if we really wanted to. But, what we see is, since that's not a possibility, we've kind of actually put the ask out to people. It's like, hey, you can't make it tonight, send a message to the team or send a message to the stadium. We'll actually display some of that content in the tag board. So it's a way to kind of take the in-stadium crowd, the out-of-stadium crowd, and kind of connect those two digitally in the stadium, which has been pretty successful. Another cool use case we had we experienced a little bit with was instant reaction. So working with our game presentation folks, we were for a particular game, and it happened to be a tremendous game to try this. We said, hey, let's just look at the game hashtag, and when people start tweeting about a big play, let's just make sure that gets up on Tagboard. So, sure enough, Clint Dempsey scores his first goal as a member of the Sounders FC, and within seconds we start getting tweets of people celebrating the goal. So, the in-stadium people are celebrating celebrating the goal. There's obviously all kinds of great, highlights, tight shots of the fans on there. But we were able to actually cut the tag board and see people virtually celebrating that goal. So people celebrating Dempsey goal and doing all kinds of crazy stuff to celebrate that goal. That's another really cool way that we've used tag board, and certainly look to expand upon that in stadium as the years progress.
Yeah. Well, I do think it's worth mentioning, too, that while Tagboard's played a big part in this, I think that the overall technology of social media and the cross-network connectivity of the hashtag has really been a big part of it. And what you guys have done across a couple of the most crazy communities that I know of, which is Sounders and Seahawks, has been really phenomenal this year. I really think that the creativity that you guys have had this year has been great. Some of my favorites were the Hawker Lantern, where people were posting pictures of their Seahawks logoed up jack-o'-lanterns, and it's really a fun way to do that, and it really does. I mean, I'm sure there's already people out there putting blue flag, 12th man flags on their houses and putting blue lights on their cranes and things, because that's how crazy Seattle fans are. But when you put a hashtag out there as a call to action, it just unifies it all into one place, which obviously does a cool thing, which it creates more momentum, and it allows more people to really to see a larger number of those pieces in the same way. And so what you guys have done on the website and obviously in stadium, I did just tweet out a couple photos. I found the one from Kurt, so I put that one out there, and I also just put up a picture of what you guys did for the Sounders playoff games. So if people want to check the tag board below the video here, hit the latest tab. If you don't see it, it should show up. But really wanted to just talk a bit more about what are you guys doing going forward, and how integral do you now think hashtags are to your community and your engagement?
Yeah, let me throw out one other thing that I had forgotten about too, that obviously for this conference, everyone that is potentially viewing this conference now or later is interested in social media. Sometimes we always tell my team is that Twitter, there are still a lot of people out there who aren't comfortable with Twitter. My mom is a prime example. She's, she kind of can look on there, but may not understand kind of how to click through and look at the various hashtags. And there's a lot of people out there, but being able to centralize it on our website and make it really easy for people to see that content is really powerful. In terms of the actual kind of how we use hashtags and kind of the future of kind of Tagboard kind of moving forward. Again, we use hashtags a lot specifically to really aggregate conversation around a particular topic that maybe we're seeing a lot of conversation in, or we kind of have an organizational objective around. So right now, the Seahawks have a concept of I'm in. They have these signs that say I'm in that basically players and coaches tap before they actually step onto the playing field, step into the weight room, whatever, and it basically signifies that they're dedicating all of their focus and all of their time to basically the task at hand and setting aside all distractions. So we created a digital I'm in sign and basically said, hey, are you with the Seahawks? Are you tapped in? And basically have asked people to rally around that hashtag. And specifically, we've created a website that people can kind of go and tap in and kind of virtually get plotted on a map. And then obviously Tagboard is a part of that because it shows an aggregate of all the people who have chosen to share that website socially, and it's pretty powerful. We have just under 55,000 people have tapped in now, and a lot of those people have chosen to share it socially. And I think hashtags in general are just it's just a great way to curate content. I think a challenging problem we have is some of our games earlier in the year. I think it was our first home game. We had just over 400,000 mentions of @Seahawks and #Seahawks. What does one do with 400,000 mentions of @Seahawks and #Seahawks? It's a lot to kind of get through, and there's a lot of variety. So we like to look at it and say, well, let's use Tagboard as another way to kind of say, let's show the best of the best and be able to show that content for a fan that maybe just wants to see the most popular stuff that came through. So that was another really interesting way we powered and used hashtags.
Well, we'll be watching you closely. Go 12th man.
There you go. Go Hawks.
And, go Hawks, and we're excited to see the success you guys have this year. And I'm tingling with excitement about the game on Sunday. And I'm saving my voice, so if my voice sounds a little rough today, it's because a couple days ago I was screaming my head off at CenturyLink. And well, thanks again, and we can kind of continue the conversation too. If anyone has any specific questions for anybody, you can obviously tweet at us or through Google Plus or any of the networks using the hashtag. And if you have a specific question for Kenton or Kurt or Daniel or myself, you can obviously mention us in that comment. So let's move over to Daniel, who is probably having dinner right about now. Daniel from Liverpool, from Everton FC, European Premier League, and the first team in the EPL to really understand and really bring that social engagement and start using hashtags and bring it into the stadium. But you guys have done some cool stuff as well. You had a big coaching change this year. You used Tagboard for and a bunch of and one of the coolest things that we can link out to is you guys interviewed one of your players and you used Tagboard on screen to have that player interact with the fans and answer some questions. So can you talk a bit about what you guys have done and tell us a bit about your story?
Sure. Hi everyone. Hi Josh. Welcome to Goodison Park. Welcome to the Premier League. It's a thriving industry, and we're great to be a part of this. Tagboard. I've been here 2 years, and we actually, by some weird coincidence, the son of one of our greatest ever players, Alan Ball, he met one of Josh's colleagues, Dan, over there, and an email came back to us, and it was all to do with the in-stadium atmosphere. It was all to do with harnessing the conversation, and that's exactly what we can do with Tagboard. We can streamline what the fans are saying, what content is out there, and we can now do that in stadium and on the website. We can marry the two up. Obviously, the Premier League's got a massive audience. It can't be understated. You see the figures of how much the broadcast rights go for, and it's remarkable, and it's great to see it taking off over in America as well. But we have a lot of fans that come to the game and a lot of fans that don't come to the game. They can be watching anywhere in the world, and by simply publicising one hashtag for one game, we can marry that all up. We can show the best of the content that, like Kenton and everyone else has touched on already. We can aggregate that. We can moderate that. It's very simple through Tagboard. I have to say I was very impressed with how simple, easy it was, very easy to do. When we're in the press box and there's so much going on, it's just another thing to do, and it's very, very simple. And in terms of what we've done with Tagboard is we've implemented that for every home game. Here at Goodison Park we've got 2 stadium screens, and beforehand I have to say it was a case of, I think it was last season, so before we'd adopted Tagboard, we curated a few contents through the week, Monday to Friday, picked a few of the best fan tweets, and then put them up. They had to go into the match program, they had to be pre-built. Now we can do it live. Now we can, have instant reaction to goals. We can, have proper people taking pictures in the stadium. They can be sharing them with the fans there, and then you see that with the fans. You see them pointing to the screen and see them going, "That's me. That's I'm on screen." And it's an added element to something that we want to create here at Goodison, is making match days memorable. We might get beat 2-0. Who knows? But if a young fan has managed to get a message on the screen, or got a certain photo, it just adds to the memory, what they will take away from the game. They might forget the result, hopefully, but anything extra we can do for the fans, and Tagboard really helps us engage with our fan base. We're not a club that is necessarily focused on metrics of having 1 million followers, or those numbers are great, but what do you do with them? We pride ourselves in replying to the fans. If they have a question, we reply. That's what we try to do. So Tagboard is another arm of our engagement, and it works great for us. We're very grateful for Tagboard support, and as Josh says, we were the first to be having this sort of technology in the stadium and on our website. Other clubs have found other solutions, but to be honest, I think we've got the best.
Yeah, you guys, I want to talk a little bit about this too, because it's hard for even sports fans. I mean, NFL fans and college sports fans here are crazy, but Premier League soccer fans are a whole another level of crazy. And anyone who's been to a game or watched a match, or obviously World Cup's a whole different level as well coming up. Talk a little bit about how important those moderation tools are for you guys, and how like even when you make a coaching change, like you use for I think it was Welcome Roberto was the hashtag you guys use. How did you guys use the technology to really shape that conversation and really host that conversation on your website in a safe manner, where you're not going to worry about a bunch of F-bombs or inappropriate material getting posted up there by people who are upset about your decisions on the field?
Well, absolutely. That moderation was key. If we weren't able to moderate, it wouldn't have been prominent on the website at all. But as it was, and with the thing with Roberto, he's brilliant. I have to say, it's been absolutely magnificent. Our position in the table will show that. And anybody that had any doubts about the new manager, they're well and truly silenced now. They're eating their words, because yes, he won a trophy at the end of last season with his old club, but he also got relegated. So there were doubts. There was a big change here at Everton, and for us to have a conversation surrounding that hashtag Welcome Roberto on the website, we needed a way of keeping out any sort of negativity. We needed a way of any trolling, which is going to be going to come from all angles. It's going to come from your own fans with a sense of humour. It's going to come from other fans. But the simplicity was, we could be updating that. Roberto had his conference, that Tagboard was on the website. Building up to that, all through the conference, we were moderating, and it was fantastic. And it does marry up the two, the people there and then at the games or at the events, which we've got plans to use it at some exclusive events we've got for some fans. You've also mentioned, Josh, how we interviewed a player, Seamus Coleman. Twitter Q&A, sometimes you can be sifting for ages trying to find the right question. But what we did with Seamus was we asked the question, we did the call to action for people to submit their questions for him. We then picked all the best, approved all the best, and handed Seamus an iPad with all the moderated questions. So those were the ones he definitely could answer and would answer, rather than all the silly ones and abuse and everything else. It was very simple. It added an extra element to that sort of. You see it every day. Somebody doing a Twitter Q&A, but Tagboard made that nice and simple, and it's just another way we could use it.
Yeah, it's really fun to see the players getting involved too, and Obviously, a lot of players are involved through social media and connecting with fans, but to be able to do it in such a official capacity is pretty fun, and we're really impressed with that case study that you guys put together. And we only have a few more minutes right now, but I want to just basically ask you what your plans are for next year, and if you guys are going to continue using hashtags as much as you have, and obviously it's been a big part of what you're doing. And what have other teams commented on your activity, or maybe showing a little jealousy of some of the things that you guys have been able to pull off? What kind of conversations have you had with some of your counterparts from other teams?
Absolutely. I mean, we're lucky we've got 2 stadium screens, and not every team in the Premier League has that. A few have ribbon boards, a few have smaller screens, and I think it's more of a case of they wish they could. But there's always going to be a way. A lot of teams are going to add stadium screens, and we're not alone in that respect. And other clubs have tried to do it themselves and tried to do it different ways, but it's not as instant. And we are very lucky in that I forget who mentioned the obstacle of stadium Wi-Fi. We're again in that category. We don't have a solution yet, but the fact that we're using Tagboard, the fact that we've seen this massive spike in engagement on match day and whenever we're promoting it, it just gives us another reason to go and find the solution, find out what that might be, and then life would be a dream.
It's awesome. Well, we've only got 2 minutes left, and I like to invite everybody who's on the chat and the Hangout right now to keep an eye on this tag board throughout the rest of the day, because if anyone has some questions, I haven't been able to keep up with all the comments and questions. I'm going to go back afterwards, and as I'm sure the other guys will as well, and take a look. I also did just send out a picture. I posted a picture to the tag board of what you guys have done at Goodison Park, and so people can check that out. Really cool stuff, and I really want to get over there for a game, so hopefully we can make that happen pretty soon. And,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I do want to finish by saying that I really feel that one of the biggest reasons why Tagboard has been a success goes way beyond who we are or just the timing of our launch and what we've been able to provide, but it really is more about community and how the communities, especially in the sports communities, has been even magnified. But this whole idea of just opening up the community and letting everyone participate and not having any barrier to entry. People don't need to download an application. They don't need to register for anything. They simply pull their phone out of their pocket, which they probably already are doing, and say what they're going to say, add a photo, and add the hashtag, and it connects everyone together dynamically and magnetically. And I really think that this has been a big testimony really to the power of the hashtag. And we at Tagboard really have a really long-term view on things, and we want to continue to support the hashtag, support these amazing communities that we're involved with by building out even more advanced tool sets. We also have back-end analytics and things that really help these guys understand what happened during the game, where the spikes are at, what they did, and how people reacted. And so I'm really appreciative of everyone's time, and I hope you guys have enjoyed learning a little bit about Tagboard, and more importantly, learning about the awesome teams from Kenton at the Seahawks and Sounders, Kurt at Stanford, and Daniel at Everton FC. It's been a real honor and privilege to share your stories and help you guys share the story of Tagboard with the audience. So thank you, and also want to let you guys know that stay tuned throughout the day. The next session coming up is sports journalism and content creation. I'm going to be glued to the screen throughout the entire day, and I'll be back on one more time during the curation talk. But really, this is such an amazing opportunity to bring so many minds together, and I really hope this is the first of many, many of these conferences, and we'll be looking forward to continuing the conversation here online as we go forward. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Yep.